Hey everyone.
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get this.
Okay, send out the countdown clock. And here we go.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, dear listeners, and you are live with Secrets to Surviving Alienation. I'm Mr. X, or Jonathan Hauser, if you please. And you know, it is a sad day that we have to have a show like this. I mean, why in the world can't the courts get their shit together? I mean, it it's so stupid that I don't even have words for it. But today's guest has some insights, and she sounds like a very lovely person and very intelligent. Today's guest is coming live to us. Her name is Lisa Goodpaster. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. So, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your organizations and what you do.
Great. So, I'm the first person apparently ever in the world to actually grow up and prove what happened. I was alienated from both of my parents by my stepmom. It happened around 7 years, and it wasn't until my mid-40s where I actually remembered and found the proof, which was a manual that she wrote and read and actually changed the narrative of my entire life, erased my right to know my mother. The narrative started from my own birth. And I lived this life of feeling like I wasn't my parents' daughter. The only person who loved me was my dad. So I grew up protecting my dad while staying silent and rejecting my mom on the daily. And it was horrific. The body and mind worked together. And when I read the proof at about 45, I read it after already raising my son, who was already done with college. And I knew right then, holy, can I say the S word?
Yes.
Holy shit, something's wrong. This isn't right. Went to some counseling, and the therapists were really good because they knew they weren't equipped with how to handle something like this. It's not like you can go to the yellow pages or Google, what to do when you find a manual which brainwashed you. So luckily we did get some help with the Hoffman process, along with pretty really well-known neurologists. And it took about a good 3 years of solid just internal work. And the brain is the brain, it's neuroplasticity, so the brain can change. Our brains are always changing, but when we're kids, it's a completely different story. And how we develop as children, and why it's so important, and why the judges, any professional working with kids, has to understand that the child development, the actual brain, and what happens. Because if I was taken to court with my dad or my stepmom, I would have lied. I would have said anything I could have just to stay with my dad and my stepmom, which was the alienator. So these judges are getting it wrong. And when they get that wrong, you're talking a tsunami of issues, from not being comfortable in your own body, from depression to you're surviving. And when you're surviving something, you just endure it. And when you do this for so long, what happens is things get embedded. So there's certain things that are just embedded. Like, for example, anytime I'm around my mom, there's always an uncomfortable feeling. I have to fight through it. And I'm like 48 now.
So your relationships are kind of strained?
With my mom and my dad, yeah, they still are strained. The issue is when you're dealing with an alienator and you have a targeted parent, so you have one good parent, one bad parent, or however they want to explain it. For children of divorce, we don't speak up because we're constantly triggered, because there's no settlement. There's no conclusion, especially if your parents still don't talk and you've already have like kids of your own that are grown and they still act the same way that they did as you were a child. Why would any adult want to be around that? So this is a tragedy. And how the courts and how the attorneys that are supporting this type of negligence, how they can sleep at night is beyond me. Because if they read what I read and what I heard on the daily, any judge that would say, no, that's not true, shouldn't be a judge. This isn't just happening in California. This is global. We are leading the United States. We have the most single parent homes in the entire world. We have the most single parent homes. How many of those homes can say that they are actively co-parenting? And the issue is a lot of these alienators, you can't co-parent with a narcissist, somebody that's mentally not sound, and they actually believe what they're saying. So this is a real problem. We see it in our schools. Our teachers see it. And it's not just with kids from divorce either. But kids from divorce have a 40% chance of experiencing some sort of alienation. And when it's somebody that's outside, like with mine, it was my stepmom. So this is this is kind of common. We've got good step parents, and then we have really bad ones. And the reason is they don't understand the difference between parental love and spousal love. And it's when you understand like the psyche of it, it's like, I have this analogy. It's like taking your kid to the airport, putting them on an airplane, knowing that airplane does not have enough fuel to get to that destination. How many parents are willing to risk that? We put our kids in car seats. We make sure that they go to school, but we don't we don't protect their brains. We let them, we let them fend for themselves. This is to not do something about it, to not say that this isn't a problem is absolutely dangerous. And this is 2021, and every parent needs to understand how evil, how destructive an alienator is.
Can we talk about your website?
Sure. So I started the Stephood Project, which is to bring awareness and hope to parents, to former children of divorce who suffered like me. And there's millions of us walking around. We just don't come out, or, it's a process. But the Stephood Project is just bringing awareness to what's happening within our courts, within our schools, in our homes, and just hoping to ignite a positive movement for change, so that we have a better future for society, for our humanity. It's not okay to have a child and then not protect them, or not be able to protect them.
Since you've been dealing with the courts and stuff, have you seen any positive changes, or has it just stayed the same over the years?
I see it getting worse. I think right there, maybe they're barely like kind of looking at it, but right now it just seems like it's been nothing but a money trap. They have people that have never experienced it, or so-called professionals. You can study as much as you want, but when you live through it and you understand it, there's no way a professional should ever let a child decide specifically between the ages of 7 and 13 where that child should live. You're basically saying, I'm going to give you back to the rapist, because that's what they do.
They really never listen to the evidence, do they?
No, and they don't. Everything is, it's curtailed, and it seems
More on their agenda.
It reminds me of just being in the middle of two co-parents that can't co-parent. It's like the judges are using things that are from the 90s. It's 2021. I mean, it's time to get updated with actual science and what happens to children and how their brains grow. Like, we're empty slates. So we are at the mercy of our parents.
The brain doesn't stop growing until 25.
Right. The brain always continues growing, but you're right. I think guys, because my son is 27, so I think, 26, I think, is when the frontal lobe part grows,
I don't think we ever grow up.
Yeah, and that's okay. I don't blame it. I don't blame the people that don't want to grow. Adulting's awkward.
It's a lot harder with all these court systems just wanting to line their pockets. Do you have any advice for anybody, or
for parents, for targeted parents? Yeah. Don't give up on your kids. Don't take it personally. What's happening is they have been brainwashed. They have been told really bad things. That's why you get that's why targeted parents get the really bad reactions, the anger. The anger is the injustice that we feel because we can't explain what happened. All of a sudden, we had an intact family, and then we don't, and now we have all this anger and disproportionate rage, and we don't even know how to talk about it. So the targeted parents are kind of, what do we do? Like, it's not the kid's fault. The kid is doing exactly what the mind and body are meant to do, which is survive. So it's an immediate threat. So it's not normal to feel nervous around your parents. I was nervous around both my parents, around everyone, but I held it in until I couldn't. So for targeted parents, just know, don't take it personal. Your kid is surviving. And if you can, look at their strength. Even though they're struggling, look at their strength.
What are the lasting effects, like mentally and relationship-wise, going through this as an alienated parent or a child?
The lasting effects are, it was like paternal neglect. It was like basically growing up feral, trying to figure it out on your own. You get, I was so used to this feeling until my body gave out, but it's not only psychological, it's physiological. So what goes in the mind goes in the body. So we're talking, not only does it disrupt your childhood and your, the first, 18, 20 years of your life, you're surviving, you're trying to figure it all out. Then you, like most kids that didn't come from a, Brady Bunch type family, we take off. We want to go start our life. We want to get away. And what happens is you get, you start having anxiety, you start getting depressed. You don't know, you feel like there's something wrong with you. And really, no, your brain, you were hijacked. You didn't have the right to know or love your parent. And so that is my mom calls it maternal deprivation. Not having, you have a mother, you have a father, but you can't get to them, and they're not aware. They didn't know. So it goes on, like, it doesn't just take your childhood, but it can seep into your adulthood. And it also can take, like, my son grew up thinking that my mom was evil. My mom didn't like me. And that wasn't the case at all. So had I not remembered or had gotten the proof, it would have been really hard to heal. So once you know, your body remembered everything, and then you can do the work, and you can heal. It's I'm glad for it. It's just, this took 45 years of my life. Am I right? And you don't get that time back.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today and sharing with us, and hopefully people can start healing with some of this information and going forward. I know it's a tough thing to deal with, and hopefully one day the courts will, lack of a better word, get their heads out of their ass and actually start supporting the family units again. Because kids are our future, like it or not, and one day they're going to run the world. And if we don't want the world to be more messed up than it is today, we need to start focusing on families and getting corruption out of the courts, and realistically getting money out of the courts. It has no business dealing in any deals other than lawsuits or corporate stuff. No family things.
Right.
But
it's a anybody that is making money off of a child's future, off of a child's right to live and be loved, well, that's criminal.
Well, you know what they say, only good politician is a dead politician.
Yeah. That's like one job I would never want to be, as a politician. But yeah, there's, they say all the right things when it's time to vote. Where's the actions?
Never happens.
Right. So it's, if we can't get the courts, then we go to the schools, because the kids spend more time with the schools and the teachers than they do kind of at home. And sometimes schools are a safe haven, and sometimes they're not, because we have all the stuff that happens with, the violence, the bullying. So really, if the courts don't want to work with, then we go to the schools. Then we teach the kids how to raise themselves, because at this point it's a shit show, and no kid deserves this. None.
We have a comment from a few listeners.
Mm-hmm.
It's wilderness. I have a very bad relationship with my family too. I do apologize about that. I mean, I
mean, our relationship is, I have a good relationship with my family, but there's something that's always missing.
I know I'm gonna butcher this name. Julesy and Discord. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. She says, "I hope lots of lawyers are listening." They should be.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was approached by an attorney. There's a law that says that I can actually have my stepmom. I could possibly sue her, and I sue her for what? She got away with it. But if there's an attorney out there that thinks that they know, that they would like to take on something to help parental alienation, great. Call me. But if it's for money, don't.
I really think there should be a group of lawyers out there that be willing to take on the United States family court system and filing a lawsuit against them to force them to change stuff. instead
Can
of,
they do that? Is it?
I don't know. I really would hope so. If anybody knows how to do that, they should get in touch with you and go from there. We have another comment. We're getting popular. Same person as last time. Julie says some lawyers encourage just the back and forth.
Right.
And
Well, because they make money, so that's why, like, they, it's like, I mean, no offense, I know attorneys have to make a living too, but yeah, the longer they're in the court system, the longer the case is, then they have billable hours. So
well,
it's
I'm gonna get a little personal on my side. I didn't per se go through traditional family court.
uh-huh.
My son got sick, and CSB kind of got involved, and blown out of proportion. The whole family court was the joke. I had my military service used against me and said I was a danger to my kids because I was trained to kill people, i.e., most of my job in the military was not trained to kill people. Yes, we are trained to kill another human being, but it's more to complete the mission
Right.
and render aid. But that was completely used against me. I got to my depths where I almost killed myself. I got myself in trouble and told to take anger management because in the middle of court, I told everybody I would murder everybody in that courtroom and in this building if my kids were not given back to my wife. And I knew I was going to go through hell, but she wasn't going to. And they said that was inappropriate, and it's like, it's the truth. I'm not angry. I just hate every one of you people. And
You have every right to feel angry, to have all your emotions. Emotions are not a bad thing. It's the people that don't actually have emotions that I worry about. Emotions are I suppress all of mine. So when you suppress it, it actually stays in your body. So you did a right thing. And thank you for your service. Because,
no
yeah,
problem.
uh,
Honestly, for today, I do still have to avoid confrontations, be it arguments and stuff like that, because I have the PTSD. It's looped in with the military, but it's also looped in with the court system.
mhm.
And I get terrible anxiety, and then I get what's called reptile brain, and I black out.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
it's bad.
I understand. I have that complex, I call it childhood post-traumatic, I can get triggered, and I've learned ways to deal with it internally. But I was very much angry, and I can get angry still, but
I'm
I learned to deal with it
I'm still
constructively.
working through that. My wife gets on me about being angry all the time, and I have to check myself. Julie also said again, during divorce, children get used as tools. It's wrong. Um, could you go into depth a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when parents are arguing and they want to get, so that, like, being used as a tool, that kid is not a kid. That kid is just like this pen right here. It doesn't matter. So the parents that are constantly using a child's, whether it's say your child's doing bad at school, and so they'll blame the other parent, it's your fault, and so the kid is constantly being picked apart, manipulated, and when this happens, it destroys that child's self-esteem, whether they say it or not, because they're hearing everything. They're soaking in everything from their environment, and when this happens, it creates such discord um, internally that I mean, even saying it, like, my heart will hurt. Like, I'll rub my heart because it's like, yeah, I know what that is. That's bullshit. And I don't understand how two loving parents can do this, because the other parent is just trying to stop it. And so what do? You expose it. We put it in the light. This is what's happening.
One thing I wish I would have done a long time ago before my dad passed. When I was about 8, well, 9, my dad and mom got in a fight, and my mom was very sick at that point with lupus, and he was getting fed up with dealing with her. He threw her against the counter and stuff like that, and I got in between him and pulled a knife and told him I would kill him. And it's like I felt like I was being used as a tool most of the time to break up their fights. And I think that's some of my problems.
That was a very, very good, real thing that happens. A kid has to step out of their own right to be here without having to like worry about the parents. When you worry about your parents, what happens is you cannot think or worry for yourself. You become a invisible tool that's used. And so you're not your own person. You're protecting either your mom or you're fighting with your dad. And that anytime when we're in a survival mode, so you're probably a long-term survivor, just like me. Anytime we're in that mode, we've developed survival patterns. Mine were like long-term survival patterns. When you're in a pattern, you're not living, you're surviving.
I find it's more hard for me to share emotions and kind of be closed off, especially with my wife. I've been with her for 12 years, and I still feel awkward sharing feelings, being intimate or stuff like that. I know it's kind of crazy because I still felt like I was being used as a tool when I was a teenager because my dad was an emotional wreck with his girlfriend Dawn that played games with him. One day he decided that he was going to try to throw himself off the Y Bridge in Ohio, and he got brought back and decided to take a handful of pills. So I had to call one of his stupid friends over when I had to go to work at the dry cleaners up the street, and I didn't get any sleep, and I was so pissed, and I smacked him upside his head. I know violence isn't okay, but I smacked him upside his head, and it's like, if you die, you're a dumbass.
It's you did the right thing. I'm sorry.
Tired
you may not feel that way, but I'm telling you right now, the reason why it's hard for you to express emotions because none of your parents sat there and said, "Hey, Jonathan, what's going on for you? How are you feeling?"
My mom used to do that.
Huh?
My mom used to do that before she got really sick. My dad was kind of.
So that's normal. So like, I used to walk around thinking, "What's wrong with me? I have like all these, things that I survived. What's wrong with me?" Not a freaking thing. You survived, and no one taught you how to be in the real world in your own body, being comfortable with. Yeah, it's okay that you were a kid. What were you supposed to do? Let your dad just like take all the pills? That you did the right thing. And I know it's hard because it's our parents, and there's all this guilt and like guilt and shame and fear, all those things. They all travel together. Like being angry, the antidote to being angry is fear. So we can't be both. The body and brain, your own development, the way that you choose. Anger saved your life, just like it saved mine. As we get older, then we learn to be in the world differently.
Got to be a little softer, not harder, not bitter.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a purpose. Everyone is trying to figure it out. And, one of the biggest reasons why I started the project and why I wanted kids like you and everybody who's watching, hey, if you've ever been told that you're fucked up and there's something wrong with you and you need help and you're angry, no, something happened. Something happened in your childhood. Something wasn't right. And you didn't get the stuff you needed, and you weren't able to express that. There's not a freaking thing wrong with you other than, because believe me, if it was, you wouldn't be on here doing what you're doing to help other people. So my whole goal is look, if you're a kid from divorce or you've got issues that we all know come from childhood, there's nothing wrong with you. And we're all human. We're all human. And, you know, the way that the world is, it's like, I want the whole world to know, hey, if you're walking around depressed, you've got, you know, traumatic stuff that you've dealt with, you survived. That's what we're supposed to do. So don't hide in shame and be glad that, you know, I'm glad that you were smart enough to say, then if you do that, you're a dumbass, Dad. Because yeah, you don't do that to your kids. You don't, that's not a, you know, I didn't know your dad, but I'm sure if he could relive his life, if, you know, maybe he would have done things differently. I know my mom has regret. And the one thing that the one thing I do love about her is that she owns it. She'll say, yeah, I wasn't a present parent. I mean, I left you with your dad, and your dad married this woman that hated you. And, you know, I still don't understand why my mom hasn't gone and knocked on the door. I mean, I get it.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on today and guess getting me to open up a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, those are because you feel safe, because you understand, like, I get you. I'm not judging you. I know those feelings. Trust me. I've gone to the dark side a couple of times, and those weren't my favorite moments, but those were real human moments. And, you know, it's a part, that's what our brains and bodies are supposed to do.
Well, definitely appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can have you on again. And again, I hope this episode helps whoever's out there. I mean, like you said, don't be ashamed to be in need of help or in a dark place. I mean,
you're not alone. You're not alone. Reach out, stephoodproject.org. My Instagram is lisa.goodpaster. You know, I'm here just working and trying to create change and hope for everyone that wants a better future for their family. You know, change.
well, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Bye.
My greatest moments didn't come from my greatest moments. My greatest moments came from my greatest defeat.